Hey, how's it going? Rovercast here. Glad to see you all. The time is upon us, okay? The game is fast approaching. We have some amazing content creators with us today. I just wanted to take this opportunity to introduce you to some faces you have not seen before. And then, of course, there are some of us who you know very well. So, my name is Life. Uh, do motivational gaming commentary. Life Lessons is my channel. And then we're gonna just go around and everybody can kind of introduce their channel as well. So we'll start off with you, Loba.
Hey, what's going on? Loba here. Just excited about Wuthering Waves, excited to do another podcast. And I think now the discussion guy. I've been doing a lot of discussion videos. So, doing a lot of reacts and stuff and just opening up conversations with the community. So that's me.
What's up, fam? Zox is on TV, as you already probably know. Man, we've been evolving a little bit. We've been on kind of the same train doing reacts and stuff, but we got skits going now too. So that's been pretty interesting. But yeah, really excited. Not only to continue to meet more people, but for this release of Wuthering Waves, man, just like everybody else. So
okay. My name is Luke. I'm a relatively new content creator. I mainly try and focus on the gacha gaming thing. I've been out here in Japan for almost 15 years, so I try to bring the Japanese perspective, like how things are over here, and also try to explain some things that are in the games that people in global might not have realized, like certain kanji that are used in characters' names and like what that could mean. And I try and bring a different perspective to this whole conversation.
Nice.
My name is Arizen. A lot of people call me Aru for short. This is easier to say. My ideal and my goal, I guess you could call me one of the newer faces for Wuthering Waves. My ideal and goal for the time being is to really just make some guide videos, since I've always kind of been in that scene for like wanting to do guides. Always been interested and invested on those characters, like reviews. So that's sort of my content for the time being. I do got some other ideas, so yeah.
Like I said, motivational gaming commentary. I will be covering. I guess you can say I'm the lore guy at this point. I'm going to be doing a lot of combat story, lore, and general gameplay discussions. But that'll definitely be one of the things that people will probably be coming to my channel for, is a lot of like lore and story stuff. So yeah, without further ado, I have so much on my mind right now. And so I was just curious, Aru, how are you feeling as kind of like the outsider, from the outside looking in? How do you think people who aren't necessarily as familiar with gacha games are feeling about Wuthering Waves in particular?
Yeah. So it's been a lot of interesting mixed responses that I've been seeing, at least from my side of the community. A lot of people, they're excited for the story for one, but two, they're normally players that are used to having a story that has an end to it. So for gacha games, they're not very used to a gacha game that don't have an end to it the moment they play it. So there's that part of the story, like that part of the part. Two, I generally think a lot of them are excited for the game though, because they seen the combat, they seen how Wuthering Waves is just in general. They told me that, hey, I'm gonna play Wuthering Waves just for the combat. They also seen the characters. They said the characters they look amazing. So they're highly interested in the game. There's just some things that they're just not used to, like a gacha game not having an end to it.
Yeah, I totally understand.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's definitely fair.
For me, originally, it was like the idea that you could have an ever evolving story was actually an appeal to me. Now, of course, I didn't want it to like last for 1,000 years, but it was just really cool. Like if you enjoy a world, that you don't have to leave that world so soon. Where like there's so many games we've played, I'm sure, where we're like, man, I wish it was longer, or it's like I wish, like, if they would release some DLC or something, because I just want to be in that world again. Like a game for me, when me and my wife were playing this game called Tales of Arise, and we really enjoyed that game like a lot. The characters were amazing, and we were just like, man, I just wish this game, like I wish there was more content. Like I would, wish they would make a Tales of Arise 2 or something. And in gacha games, especially like with these just really interesting stories, you have that potential that the life of the world can actually last for like a long time, and so you can just kind of stay appreciate and stay in that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important. Live service, you're talking about most companies are looking at trying to keep their game up for like 10 years. So it's like, how can we produce 10 years worth of story? And that's like that's a hard thing to do. So like, you'll sometimes see in communities where people have this expectation, like every patch needs to have a major story update. I'm like, dude, like you do know like some of the biggest anime slash mangas that have been out there, they would like take a hiatus for like 2 3 years before they release the next chapter, so I think they're going to be in for a treat though, just because Kuro has learned so much from Punishing Gray Raven and how they've evolved, and then knowing that a lot of those dedicated members of that team are on Wuthering Waves. I feel like they're looking at Wuthering Waves more of like a passion project than it just being like this game that they're just trying to release to make money necessarily. So I feel like they're going to give lore lovers a good bang for their buck there. Honestly.
I was actually curious about something. Speaking of Tales of Arise, which is a Japanese RPG. This is a lovely segue, by the way. 10 out of 10. Ryuku, I was curious. Because you do have this uniqueness about you and your channel that you're taking in the Japanese perspective and kind of translating that over to, us was it, hopefully this isn't the wrong word, gaijin? Is
Yeah,
it?
it is. That's the word. Yeah,
Yeah, so
that's the word.
basically like us Western folk.
hmm
My
You
question
outsiders.
is exactly, can you give us the inside scoop on I have a couple questions, but I'll start with this one.
Mhm.
How are people feeling? Well, I'll ask two. How are people feeling about the meta? This has been a very popular conversation, and I have some thoughts on it. I'm sure a lot of us have some thoughts on just meta and Wuthering Waves. And
Mhm.
how are people feeling about just the game in general? Like, what's the general sentiment of this new game that's coming out that is
Mm.
looking to compete with the monolith that is Genshin Impact? How is the Japanese community feeling about those two things?
Okay, from what I can tell, quite recently, is that it's already quite new to them. Like, us us in the space of like been aware of Wuthering Waves for the past year or so, whereas out in Japan they really haven't really heard much about it like near on at all because Kuru has kept their powder dry like throughout the
Wow.
entire time. I mean, of course they have the trailers out going onto YouTube that anyone can see anywhere around the world, but there's never actually been any sort of like push for advertising whatsoever, at least until the past couple of months or so. So like as you mentioned earlier about the advertising, they are going on a like a massive advertising blitz right now, mainly around the Tokyo area, in particularly around Akihabara, Shibuya, and Harajuku. I've seen plenty of like a huge billboard posters being put up. They're actually taking over some of the old places that Genshin used to have some of their character posters up. So they're like literally taking over where Genshin used to be. I've seen
Wow.
Mm.
some. Yeah, I've seen some like huge trucks driving around with Jinsei on the side of it, and people are really really excited about that. But again, like I said, it's all really really quite new to them. Like we've had the CPT-1, CPT-2, but from what I could tell, there weren't all that many people in Japan that got into that. There were only like a certain select few, and the thing is with Japanese in general is that they're a very it's really weird. It's very paradoxical sometimes because before I came to Japan, I'd always heard about the angry online Japanese community and that sort of thing. But to be honest, I really haven't seen too much of that. I mean, of course there is that aspect, but that's just people online in general.
Yep.
But in the space, say that you've got the angry content creators, whoever that may be, it's not really such of a thing in Japan. They're all very much on the conservative side, like they're really like a reserved side. So they're not really too much into speculation, like for better or worse. They only go with what has been like officially announced.
Mm.
From what has been officially announced, they seem very very excited about it. We've got the the trailers as well, like the content creator side that are looking at the trailers and that actually did get into the CPT2, they really enjoyed their experience. Of course, they had a big issue, particularly with the localization, which was a thing around the world, but they had a compacted issue where it wasn't just the localization, but the culturalization, particularly to do with the kanji as well. There's some very, very difficult and obscure kanji were in certain characters' names, such as Chishiya, and they were having difficulty reading what Chishiya's name was, and they couldn't read it at all. And even just the name Wuthering Waves in Japanese, it's they've got these two kanji here, and they're supposed to be read officially as Mecho, but a lot of Japanese couldn't read it; they weren't sure. So a lot of people at first were saying Narushio. Like, I don't know if you know Narushio.
Yeah.
And they had the same issue. Like they when Wuthering Waves first started releasing the information online in Japanese, they took Wuthering Waves, the two kanji, put it into Google Translate, and from what I can tell is that, and it came up as Narushio. So they thought the Japanese name for Wuthering Waves was Narushio, and
Isn't
that's
it the
just not the
Chinese
case.
name? Isn't that the Chinese name for it?
Apparently, from what I heard, I just found out this a couple of days ago. The Chinese pronunciation. I can't pronounce Chinese. It's not my expertise. Apparently, the Chinese translation is like a Ming Chao or something like that. So
Yeah, I've seen that
yeah,
around.
so
Yeah, I've seen that word
you
before.
have seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently that's how it's supposed to be pronounced in Chinese. But again, that is not my expertise. So don't take that for anything really. So yeah, they have the issue of localization and also the culturalization. And that is actually very, very difficult to read a lot of the words that are being imported into the game, such as the words being used for echo, which is ongai. Again, that's another combination of two words which aren't really obscure. Like the two words, the two kanji are the kanji for sound and also the kanji for skeleton, basically. So they have the sound skeleton. And that's the word
That's
they use for.
very interesting.
Pretty cool.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
I know, exactly. So I thought it was interesting too, like the way that's how they're like trying to express what these echoes actually are. They're trying to express it through the kanji.
That
And,
actually makes a lot of sense from a lore perspective.
Yeah, it
exactly.
does.
Yeah.
Sound skeleton.
Yep.
I mean, that's like the
Yeah.
perfect description of crownless, if we could be honest. That's
Yeah.
what he looks like.
Yeah, literally. Yeah,
That's
literally.
insane. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, with those two kanji, like the kanji themselves, sound and skeleton, aren't obscure. They're relatively common kanji, but putting them together, a lot of people think like, wait, it's like putting pickles and jam together. Like, okay, I know what this is, I know what this, but put together, like, what do you want to do with this?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're having
fair.
that issue.
What about the meta?
Yes.
Is there any conversation regarding the meta right now? Because
Um,
apparently in the West, that's a big conversation. A lot of people are having, different disputes, debates, what have you, about, well, does meta matter? Does it not? Just let people do their meta. Other people saying, no, you're ruining people's experience. Like that's a whole conversation in and of itself. But I'm curious, how does Japan feel, at least right now, about the meta?
I think with it not being officially released yet, it's still being the CPT2. Like I said, Japanese are very reserved and conservative in how they go about things. So they're not really ones to like jump in and say, okay, this is what this character is going to be. Because again, it's not really like defined until official release. And we've had some like a feels crafting type of thing, or when they're playing like during the CPT2, like, oh, this character feels good to play, or this character feels good to play. They've had that kind of thing, but they're like in the EN gotcha space, we already have like tier list guides and this character's good guys, good gameplay guys. But again, once official like drops, a lot of that might eventually have to be like redone and like thrown out. So they're not really keen to jump in and say, okay, do this with this character, with this weapon, and with this echo. They're more on the whole. They're also holding their powder dry as well until it comes out to official. So I do expect them to go kind of hard on the meta once official comes out, because I've seen in other communities such as the Nikke community, Nikke goddess of victory. Yep.
Yeah.
And really into the meta, like these team comps to work synergize well together. So they're into that. So it is something that they're interested in. They're just waiting. They are waiting, but there is a lot of anticipation. I've seen some people saying, "Oh, they're looking forward to." I mean, the meta is very, very similar to what we already think as well. Like the ultimate meta team for 1.0 would be Kalkaro, Yinlin, and Verena. I mean, that's my opinion anyway. I don't know about you guys, but I think these three 5 stars have the best synergy together. Like so and the sentiment is the same over in Japan from what I've seen. But again, they're not really too keen to say definitely like do this, because it's not decided until it's decided, is it?
Yeah,
That's
1,000%.
very true.
Yeah,
I,
1,000%. No, go ahead, Life. You're good. You're good.
I was just gonna say I wanted to open the floor on that actually.
Oh, okay.
Just to kind of give us an opportunity to we have some CBT veterans in the Rovercast. So I would like to hear from you all. What are your thoughts on the meta right now? From what we're assuming, I guess you could say. Based on like of course some things might change. I personally don't think they're gonna change that drastically.
Yeah.
They made it very clear at the developer update after the CBT2. They told us who they plan to change, meaning the other characters are not likely to change. The only characters that we were informed of were Ling Yang, Jian Shin, and Kalkaro. Those are the only, and I'm not sure if it's Kalkaro or Calcharo.
It's Kalkaro.
Oh, so it is
I'm
Kalkaro.
pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yep.
So yeah, Kalkaro, Jian Shin, and Ling Yang. Those are the only 3 characters that we've been informed. It's likely that now Donjin is a whole nother conversation. And we probably should talk about that. We should probably talk about Donjin. But just in general, well, how about this then? How about this? Let's start it this way. Tell me, should she be nerfed? Yes or no? And after you answer, should she be nerfed? Yes or no? I'd like to hear your just general opinions because, like I said, outside of those characters that are getting changed, like I said, I think Kalkaro probably will get nerfed, just because they don't want him to be too strong. But when Jian's going to come out, now if they said they're going to do some adjustments. I don't know if that means a nerf or not, but it definitely won't mean a buff. I really don't think it's going to mean a buff. So outside of that, Jianshin will get changed. Ling Yang will get changed. I'd like to hear you all's opinions just around the general cast.
Yeah.
So will Donjin get nerfed? Yes or no? Or should she get nerfed? What have you? That's probably the better question because we don't know if she's going to get nerfed, but do you think she should get nerfed? And then outside of that, what are your thoughts on just the meta right now?
Okay. So I'm gonna go first because this is like for me, this is one of my expertise, like topics, because the big thing, and this is what you have to kind of ask first: what's beatable and what's not beatable, right? So Donjin being touched has nothing to do with the fact that you can literally still beat the rest of the game with Baizert, for example. Like there's literally videos of Baizert soloing hologram bosses, parrying and everything, and she's a healer, So it's like, what exactly are we nerfing? Like, why would you be nerfing this character, right? Like, is it like that's the big like question that you have to answer because in this game, we don't have anything from the knowledge that we have that's going to be directly putting players up against each other. It's all PvE oriented content. So it really is begging to ask that question of, is it more so of the question of accessibility, or is it more so the question of, the developers not wanting people to have these 4 stars being so much higher in value than their 5 stars that now they're not really bringing in a lot of revenue from those. And I think that was another topic that kind of comes up with like inherently from a lot of us playing CBT2, we felt like the 4 stars were significantly stronger than a lot of the 5 stars. And you would say, I would say like a lot of people kind of writing that off as like a bad or like a bad thing, but I feel like that's actually overall pretty good because it gives you as a player more of an I would say the decision making ability or capability to decide that I want to actually aim for this unit because I like them, and it not so much being about that I have to get this unit because this is the only way I can clear this content. So to answer the question, simply put, I don't feel like Donjin should be nerfed because of 2 reasons. One, everybody at some point is more than likely going to end up getting this character. Like, I just don't see how you win it over X amount of time. And it's not, I wouldn't even say it would be a year necessarily. Like, if you're going to pull and she's on that banner, there's a high probability that you're going to pull it, right? Now, the other thing is, too, she's a high risk, high reward character. So to nerf her damage would be punishing a person essentially for playing at 1 HP, basically, which to me, it's like, I would like to see actually them implement higher rarity characters that have gimmicks or mechanics that operate like that, because then it would make it to where it's like, hey, then you could argue, well, hey, he can have more damage than Donjin. He might play into a similar mechanic or something like that. But I just think that overall she shouldn't be touched. Now, as far as the second question, which was about the overall meta, right, Life? That's what it was
Yeah.
about, right? So the overall meta, and this is and this kind of goes into the whole concept of, like, again, what you can do and what you can't do, right? I'm not gonna lie, I played all of CBT2 with zero synergy. Like, just because I wanted to see what you could do, like what was possible and what would make synergies necessary. Because CBT1, I was basically synergizing everything. I was like, gotta have this guy with this guy, gotta have this person with this person. And a lot has changed from CBT1 to CBT2, of course. But again, all of CBT2, I got shafted. I didn't even play a 5 star. I was literally only using 4 stars the entire time. And I'm actually really appreciative of that experience because it was like able to show me the actual value of the characters, because a lot of people were pushing this narrative that even in terms of stats, you got to have these stats to clear stuff. And I'm rocking, 20-30% crit rate and like 100 and something, percent crit damage, and I was still clearing the hologram, boss fights. It was just a matter of, I would say, a little bit of skill and understanding timing of your characters, which I feel like the meta in conjunction to that, it's going to vary so much. Like, I don't feel like there's going to be a straight answer to meta, because meta is going to be about, is what I also feel like is going to be slightly different than like Genshin in a lot of ways, is your playstyle preference. Because there are going to be some characters that you just inherently do not want to pick up just because they're just not going to feel good to you. That's why I think the Rover is probably one of the most universal units in the game, because the Rover has such great coverages. It's like I don't want to say dummies can pick her up, but basically like anyone can pick her up. Like, she's one of the easiest units in the game to use. Like, I mean, they just kind of by design did that, and so with a lot of the other characters, like there's some people that's like, I don't want Encore, or I don't want Verena, but I'm like seeing people picking these units up and they're going crazy with these units and they love them. So it's like, okay, meta could be this specific thing, but what if you don't pull on the limited banners? Then what is going to be your team comps that you're going to be, essentially aiming for? Because now we have the information for Changli and Jinsu. So if you don't aim for Yinlin or Jian, what are you going to be playing if you're not playing into those quote unquote meta synergized teams that have already been formulated? And so I think that the game's in a good position because of that, because they didn't make it to where if you don't pull on these limited banners, you can't clear any of this content, basically. So
Nice.
I could make something pretty short, sweet, really quick. I was going to say with Donjin, you know how you said if you wanted her to be nerfed or not? I personally think she's already nerfed because I liked her CBT1 version better than her CBT2 version. So in my eyes, I think she already got nerfed. But in general, like in terms of like combat and stuff, I don't think she should. Like, she's already pretty good. And this is like a good opportunity for like potential like F2P players to use a really good unit, that could do damage. Mm-hmm. But it also... people forget the fact that, yeah, she is like a one-shot kind of, like you will die if you don't use her correctly. So people will realize that they have skill issue. That's another thing. So when I'm going to try to tie it into the meta topic, like with the meta topic, I understand that there's like tips and tricks to make things a little bit easier, like for content, like end game content or whatever the case is, whatever challenge you're doing. But when it comes to meta, for me personally, and especially with this game, like, yeah, meta's great, but I think we are the meta. Like, if we understand how to use the character well and we're comfortable using them, we are ourselves the meta. Like we can clear any content as long as we have an optimal build. We know how to use the character. We know how we feel comfortable using them, right? I mean, the perfect example is what Zoc said about someone clearing content with Baija. Like that's insane
Yeah, I saw that.
because
It was
like
wild.
you can't parry as much with her, and it makes it even a harder challenge. And she's a slower character to attack with too. Like there's so many things to consider with that challenge alone.
As well, her dodge has like a really long recovery.
Yes.
So trying to dodge 2 times back to back,
Bro, you can be
practically
punished
impossible.
easily. You can
Yeah.
get very punished easily. So
I had to use an echo just to like get past like the little excrat that goes underground.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah.
So with that's why I think when people talk about meta, I'm like, no, like I don't think meta's gonna work the same in Wuthering Waves, how like they've treated it in other games. This is something that you can literally make any character really good. And I'm waiting for the day to see someone make Verena look super strong and just shut everyone up.
Yeah, easy.
Because everyone gives her so much hate for no reason, even though she's a great support character. I want to see someone, which someone will probably do it, make her an OP character, super strong, make her like insanely good.
Yeah.
And they play very well with her at the same time. You know, so my meta is you yourself are the meta. No, I don't think there's like a meta team per se, because there's just too many characters that are good in the game that you can use.
Yeah, one thing I want to say real quick too to that is that another thing, and I've seen a couple of creators actually mention it. I think Boba actually uploaded a video on it this morning. People, which I have to speak on this because this is a very, very important thing. A lot of the content that is circulating on these metas, a lot of these people haven't actually played them. So they're making content on stuff that's like, I'm like, wait, and they'll say it too. They're like, I did play the beta, but this is the meta team you have to play. I'm like, wait, you don't even fundamentally know. Like, wait, hold on. Like, okay, it is okay to say like, hey, this is the data I collected. This seems to be what the general gist of like what players are playing, right? But there's people that are literally saying like, no, you have to play this specific thing, and that's why I'll say like for a lot of people that did play, it's like, I know people were thinking about synergies, but I don't think people realized we weren't thinking about synergies nearly as much as like you might think about it in like Genshin Impact, because of the fact that you have the elemental reactions and stuff to consider when you're pairing characters together. There really is a lot of like, even down to like what I haven't really heard a lot of people talking about is that it doesn't necessarily have to be a 3-man team. It could be 2. Right? There's characters that literally are intertwined to loop really well with just 2 characters. Like for example, I think
Jinshi and Sanhua.
I think Donjin and Resonator is actually a really good one, I think, as well. And so like there's like synergies like that where it's like you're not gonna have fully fleshed 3-man comps in the very beginning of the game. So you gotta figure something out. So yeah, it's a lot of things where I just wanted to say that. Like there's definitely a lot of information that is like definitely like, yeah, it's subject to change. But there's a lot of people that they just haven't even played it yet. So once people actually play the game, they're gonna have a better idea of like how much something is required versus not being required, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like pretty much I want to add on because I already made a video on it before, and even Loba reacted to it, which I made a video called Why Tier Lists Are a Problem in a Game. So from an outside perspective, trying to do much research I can anyway. So I try to go from a more casual standpoint, since if I was just somebody who's going to the game, I want to see every perspective that I can for the game, if possible. So when I seen people try to talk about meta or do these tier lists, they will always talk about the character kit themselves, but never talk about how this character could function in like certain content, like in-game content, like Diversity or like hologram or things like that. I've seen creators like, like 1010 make a video on that one Reddit post about, free-to-play players should pick this unit, but he didn't really go into in depth about it, just also talked about the kit. So in general, I think when it comes down to meta, it's like more of you gotta consider so much. So if you're not considering Diversity, not considering in-game or just in general, it can be a problem. Now speaking, what else? So characters like, so earlier you guys were talking about like Danjin. I'm not gonna pronounce no name right too, because I'm bad at names. So her, generally speaking, I was gonna also try to mention that I think it's also a for me, I think it's a great idea just in general for free to plays or casuals in general just to have that accessibility if they don't or if they're not able to get a good 5 star, damage dealer or a good 5 star support character. Because I said it before that to me, Wuthering Waves, and somebody also said it, there's not like a real direct straight answer for meta. The game is so versatile on anything what you want to do with, so that's why I'm more excited to play Wuthering Waves from an outside perspective. Because as a day one Genshin player, Genshin, it was bad for Genshin. Like everybody told you you have to do this one team, that other team. They would never tell you that this other perspective could work or this could work because sometimes Hoyoverse is that one company where in general they would never really want to like make that one specific character good in the future, such they always get power creep. But that's also another thing because I've been hearing a lot about how Hero games love to make sure that, and I guess this happens for PGR, but I haven't been able to play much, so I've been going off of people words. That they always make sure that the first characters that they release usually in the future always have a leap where they do get a little bit stronger in the future, so
Yeah, it gives them
they're
some
not left
more
behind.
Yep.
viability.
Yeah. So that's why to me, I feel like when people are saying like, "Hey, I'm finna reroll for this best meta character," so I'm gonna take Gion since I don't know if he will be first in a minute. I'm not too sure, but if he is, then they're gonna probably say, "Hey, I'm gonna go for Gion since he's gonna be part meta for the time." That's for me. I feel like just play whoever that seems best to you because I'm probably just gonna use like female Rover for the time being because generally speaking, when I looked at their kit and seen gameplay, generally speaking, they're a great all arounder. Like day
Yep.
one, you have a great character. Like you don't really have to like re-roll or anything. You could anybody who you get just in general for what I've seen is good. Now I don't know about Alto though, but yeah, you can use anybody.
No, don't do that to my
Uh,
My
boy.
boy
Yeah.
Alto, man.
Under the
Oh,
bus.
man.
Under the bus. Yeah.
Dude, you got some people coming for your head on that one. What do you
On
think,
the point of,
Ryu?
sorry, on the point of a dungeon, on the whether she should be nerfed or something, I have something to say about that. Is that no, I don't think she should be nerfed because there's nothing in her kit which makes playing her um, too easy. Like what I think about a nerf is like a nerf should be implemented into a character when something in their kit makes a skill issue not an issue. Like if I have a certain team, I can just like spam skill dodge and just do that and don't have to think. Then there's going to be a nerf that needs to be implemented. Whereas with dungeon, you have to be on your toes that the entire time. Like she's got the power, but she's also got a huge quote unquote debuff with her health
Drawback,
draining
basically.
Yep.
drawback. Yeah, the drawback. Yeah. So no, she shouldn't be nerfed. She's fine being a 4-star. She's like she's high risk, high reward. So that's the good balance there. Like if you can play it, she's mainly the skill gamer character. Like, and she's accessible to everyone because she's a 4-star. So it's not like if it was a 5-star, you've got that level of inaccessibility for everyone. Whereas she's the character that anyone can use at any time to test their skills, test their combat capabilities. So no, she doesn't need it. She doesn't need nerf, in my opinion. Like I said, high risk, high reward, and that's fine. If it was high reward, no risk, then of course nerf, sure. But that's not the case. So no, she doesn't need it.
Yeah, perfect
Yeah.
example, real quick. Tao Chi. Tao Chi made the game too easy. That's why she got nerfed because she was full team healing, shielding, and was nuking. So
Mm.
it was like you had to take something there, and it was like, granted, did it suck? Yeah, because I love Tao Chi,
Same.
but for the health of like making characters kind of balanced or fair. And she was basically making characters like Verena, like Bajir, kind of seem useless because if I can have a
Mm.
character doing all the damage, giving me shield and healing, why would I want those characters? So it's like, I guess also kind of taking away that feels bad from getting certain things. Yeah, like that balancing, and that's the other thing too is like trying to differentiate nerfs versus balances. I know like most communities, a lot of times when anything gets changed, it's always a nerf. It doesn't matter what it is. But I think what you said about if something is becoming too easy with it, I think that's like actually one of like the perfect ways to describe why they might need to implement a nerf, because I don't think a lot of people think about that. And it's like the clear advantages that someone could have in terms of progression, versus, you know, someone that doesn't have something is really important. And yeah, I definitely agree with that.
So my take on this question is, I'm just gonna play devil's advocate here, and I'm gonna say she does need a nerf. I'm just like,
No, I was
no,
like,
I don't think I don't yeah, for the reasons that were presented, I agree. I think Ryuku summarized my points perfectly, which were just that she needs to have a reward for the risk, and she very much does have a risk. So just in general, on top of the fact, once you get her sequences, like some people were saying, like, oh, she's gonna out damage like the 5 stars. Well, most times 5 star, like a fully maxed out 4 star, is probably going to do the similar damage to a sequence 0, which is the game's version of like
mhm.
eidolons or constellations, depending what game you're in, copies. Like, yeah, so she needs to have that. I think a lot of people don't realize how difficult it's going to be to play her. And so, yeah, I don't want to repeat too many of the points that have been made. But one thing I did want to say before we move on to the next topic is just that I have the fortunate pleasure of probably being one of the most experienced non server access players, like the players that Kuro gives access to for their servers. I have the benefit of probably being one of the most experienced as far as gameplay out of probably any content creator who's not given access. Reason being, I played every single character in the game, 5 stars included, except for Kalkuro. And that was probably my fault. I might have been able to get him, but I made a mistake during CBT2 of trying to pull on the weapon banner when I should have just went all into characters. But I literally played every character, even Yin Lin in her new form, which a lot of people didn't get to play because, for one, either people didn't play the game long
Loba.
enough to get the pools.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'll change on global. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. But yeah, like I said, I was able to play every single character. Like my pulls in CBT2 were just insane. I saw people shout out to Vulcan getting like 2 copies of Arena.
Verena, yes. I saw that
Yeah.
live.
He
He
was
was
just like, I'm
gutted. It
done.
was hilarious. It was
Yeah.
hilarious watching that live.
I got 2 Junsins.
Yeah,
No
which
hate,
is
but
cool if it was
any other character would have been great. I just wanted to try someone else.
Yeah. And so like I said, I played Gian in the first one and he didn't really change from the second one. You know, we got to play him in the story as well. So I was like, okay, he's the same character. Really fun character, but the same character. Like I said, I played Verena, Encore, Ling, like literally every single character. Just put every character that was in the game. I played to a solid extent. And let me just first off start this by saying, yeah, Yin Lin is cracked. She's absolutely
Yeah.
cracked. It is absolutely ridiculous that they took. I've said this before. I made a tweet. I basically said like back in Genshin, apparently like they remade all their money in the first month. Like all their investment was
Oh
remade
yeah,
and
that's right.
recouped
Yep.
in the first month of the game's life cycle. And I was just like, yo, yeah, if Gian in the game doesn't do it by itself, Yin Lin is gonna single-handedly like just recoup all those funds.
And if that doesn't happen either, then we still have Jinshi and Chang Li as the backup
Exactly.
plan.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they're definitely gonna be fine in that regard. But like I remember one of the things I really enjoyed about Yin Lin in the first version that she had was like her skill. They changed her skill up now. But back then it was like a slam dunk kind of ability where she like would do this thing where she would get the zap string thing or whatever and just like
Slam it into
basically
the ground,
dunk
yeah.
it on enemies. And getting her sequence 1 was so great because you got 2 copies of it, so it was just great. But then I saw what they did with her new iteration, where I was just like, they turned her ultimate into her forte, and
Yeah.
they gave her another
Yeah.
ultimate. I'm just
Yeah.
like, if you're not pulling on her because of how she looks, you're pulling on her because of her kit. If you're not pulling on her because of her kid, you're not going to be able to just overlook these crazy animations. It's ridiculous. So I think more so to like I said, the point that Zox was bringing up, it's like a lot of people haven't played these characters, and so as somebody who has played every character, rest in peace to my boy Alto. His day is gonna come. Okay, his day is going to come, y'all. Once we get
He needs a
uh
buff. He needs a
Yeah,
buff.
yeah,
because the problem with Alto is his kit doesn't it works against itself because he's supposed to be a support,
Mhm.
but his forte requires him to be on field for a considerable
Yep.
amount of time. And if
Yep.
he's not going to do that much damage while he's on field for that much time, like it just, like I said, it works against itself. Even if you get a 5-star character that is able to utilize his windows, Gate
hmm,
of Quandary is what it's called, like his
yep,
ultimate and the little, even if you get those, it's still not going to make up for the fact that he feels like a DPS loss when he is on field. Fun to play though. Let me put that out there. And to
yeah.
be fair, every character in this game is fun. There's not a single character. Like I'm telling you, like I got Verena back in CBT1 and I was a little bit disappointed. Not because I didn't like her or anything, but it's just I wanted Encore or somebody else. I was like, let me just Encore Gian, Encore Gian. And I got Verena and I was like, all right, let's do it. And let me tell you, I was just like 180. I was like, yo, this character is fun. I was like, she's fun. She has cute voice lines. She has that mobility with her dash, and it just
Mm.
feels so good in the open world. I was just like, yo, honestly. And then on top of that, her kid is busted. So it's you're not losing. Like people are gonna look at her in the beginning of the game and be like, oh yeah, it's just like another Chi Chi or another Bailu. It's just like, no, not even close. Like, not even close. So
She's more like
real
she's more like a
cheeky.
Nahida. She's more like a Nahida Bennett, like combined that sort of thing. Like
Yeah,
the
Yes,
off
that's
yeah.
like
field
the
as well as
perfect
the buffs.
example. Perfect
Yeah.
example. Yep.
But you
yeah.
know what this situation is? It's literally what happened in Genshin when Genshin first came out. Benny was written off. So units like Singcho, Benny, they were written
Kazuha
off as
too.
garbage.
Kazuha
Yeah, yeah,
also.
yeah. Yeah, when they first came out, all these units are bad. And then now, if you look at the current meta, those units are literally all top
Yeah.
tier.
Mm-hmm.
So,
National team.
Yep.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, so what I wanted to do was I wanted to figure out from you all's perspective since we're on this part of the conversation. And this is going to be a new player friendly, I guess you could say, part of the conversation where I just want to get everybody's opinions. And because like I said, Aru, you are the outsider in a way.
Outsider.
I wanted to
He's the gaijin.
exactly I was gonna say that.
Sorry,
I
I
wanted
can say
to
it.
hear
I've got the gaijin pass.
I wanted to hear from Aru about this first. Um, do you think, from your opinion, based on all the things that you've seen about Wuthering Waves, and I
Mm.
know you've done your research as well, do you feel like this game is going to be, I guess, like I said, just appealing
Oh yeah.
and and specifically new player friendly?
Yeah.
And I want to preface this because of as somebody who has been in the game, all the systems that they've kind of put together, and Rover, I think, is the perfect example because you kind of mentioned that. I just want to clarify that you are correct. Rover is a very solid character. Very solid character, very, to be honest, just easy character to play. I mean, the sword characters kind of are, but on top of the fact, the time slow mechanic being the only Spectro DPS that we have in the game and probably will have for a while,
Mm.
Rover's not going anywhere. So, with all that being the case, and like I said, I wanted to just get everybody's opinion on this final subject. What are you all's thoughts? And like I said, we'll start with Aru about the game being new player friendly.
Yeah. So I was even gonna make a video on it. So in my honest opinion, I generally do think Wuthering Waves as a whole, for what I've seen, is free to play friendly. Now, if I go, if one of you guys could correct me, I could be wrong, but I try to also see what happened in CBT if we got anything like free. So for one, I'm pretty sure a lot of people said Sanhua, you got her for free back in CBT. So
Mhm.
in general, when I did my research on Swan Ha, or which I like to call her Sandy now because I can't say her name right. Um, her kit overall is just really good in general. So by the time you get hurt, that's already another free unit for you. Like you, pretty sure you get Baji, you got Rover, you get multiple free characters. So in general, you're already getting a bunch of strong free characters off like the moment around the game release. Um, for what I've seen, 100% weapon guaranteed banner. There's it's almost like it. It kind of makes you want to pull on the weapon banner because it's 100%. You're not going to lose a 50-50. Unlike how what happened with Genshin, where thousands of people lost their money on Staff of Homa, where it became a meme of
Yeah.
Staff
Well,
of
one person in
Homeless.
particular.
Yeah.
So,
It was
yeah.
one.
Don't worry, we'll get that fund in Wuthering Waves. Don't worry.
So yeah, like in my eyes, like Wuthering Waves is 100% free to play friendly. You get a bunch of strong characters around the game release, which I can't wait because I'm gonna start using Rover mainly before I get any other character. And since it's free to play friendly, it is also it does appeal to like I would say it definitely appeals to the audience because in general, I even said it multiple times on Twitter. Well, I don't say it a lot no more, but Wuthering Waves did kind of solve half the issues that a lot of people did kind of look for, what they did want for from Genshin. A lot of people always talk about, the parrying, dodging, and all the other stuff. Like the combat itself is a lot of things that people wanted Genshin to be. The world exploration as well. Everybody wanted mounts in the game for Genshin because Genshin itself, the exploration, it was kind of bad. Still to this day, it is kind of bad because the open world is just it is huge. Of course, it's beautiful, but exploring it is it's a different story. Yeah, so yeah, there's that. In general, overall, Wuthering Ways does appeal because it does kind of solve majority of like the casual audience issues, and it's also free to play friendly in my eyes. I could be wrong by release because I don't know entirely. And plus, they already kind of showcase upcoming characters like Jinshi and Chang Li. So now there's more characters people could look out for and just, okay, well, now I'm gonna sit back, wait, consider the options. I'm gonna use
Yeah,
Rover.
that's
I'm probably
very
gonna use
smart.
Sunma. Yeah. And then now they're gonna just wait for Chang Li. So because they already revealed like two extra characters coming out, and they probably might end up doing it again before their banner even come out. We might see like another two characters if they do that again. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, I feel like yeah, you also like kind of piggybacking off of that, like even with the new unit releases, there is potential talk also of like there could be other 4 stars coming with those, right? Like because with each banner there's rated up 3 I think yes, 3 4 stars. So that's something that we don't know yet, but that's also another possibility. They could add, an extra 4 star to go on that banner with that rotating 5 star, right?
Mhm.
But to answer the question though, as far as like the game being like new player friendly, free to play friendly, I think again it goes back to what I initially said in the very beginning. What is required and to do something versus what's not required, right?
Yeah.
I think again I did have like so I did towards the end of CBT2. I played with Yinlin towards the end. I had Verena and I refused to use her. And it wasn't because I didn't like her. It had nothing to do with that. I actually think she's a great character. But it was just the fact that I really was pushing the envelope for the free to play. Like, if I was one of those guys that, like, for some odd reason, let's just say is a situation where, I just couldn't get a 5 star, right? Like, or I was only getting like 5 stars that just didn't fit into my team. How could I work with the freebies that I got? Like, how would it work out? And so being able to
If you had
clear
the Vulcan
basically,
syndrome, basically.
yeah, I did. I pulled Verena twice. That's actually, I did.
Oh my.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
Oh shoot. Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So the Verena syndrome is a literal thing. Yeah. So, yeah. So like looking at that progression and seeing that, with all the characters that they give you, they cover your generalized bases. And I think that that's the big thing is that when you're playing a lot of games, there's some games where you'll pick them up fresh and they don't actually have a way for you to be able to progress without relying on the gacha itself. And I think that that can kind of give you inherent issues, especially like the deeper you get into the game, because, for example, it goes into that, right? People want to save. They might want to pull for, either Gen C or Chang Li, for example. They're just like, I don't want, Jian or Yinlin right now. So forcing their
Imagine.
hand Yeah, yeah, no, I know, right? And there's going to be those people that are like that are going to be on that time. Like, I don't want those characters, right? So the fact that the game can be played with all the freebies that you get, right? But I also would say because one thing that I feel like they emphasize a little bit differently, which I have a deeper appreciation for because of the type of gamer I am. I'm a Souls like kind of like DMC player. So the fact that they made majority of that progression skill reliant to me matters a lot because skill is something that can be taught. Not everybody can just get more money, you know. So like if I can say take X amount of hours, say 2-3 hours to learn a character versus me having to pull out $300 to get a character that lets me ooga booga something because the characters I have don't do something. I think the trade-off there is just really good for the players. So it just all in all makes it to where I personally feel like Curl's going to end up having a lot of free to play quotation players convert into spenders because they're going to like the fact that there is more so that option. Like you have a choice. Like, okay, I actually just want to aim for this unit because I like them, not so much of I have to get this unit. Now, again, it's very early to call it. We have a lot of time because for most of the information, we're talking about the first 30 days, right? That's what all the CBTs have been based off of. And I think 30 days the full send and say like this game is the most free to play game ever is kind of hard because after 30 days we don't know if there's rampant content that might come up that could very well make us look at some of those banners we might have just skipped. And I guess that's kind of the devil's advocate aspect to it is like you might look back and be like, dang, I really should have pulled Gion because this stage requires me to juggle a lot of enemies and there's a timer. So now it's taking me forever with Yan Yan, right? I doubt they'll do that, but that is something that you do have to kind of keep in the back of your head with gotchas in general. So
I got a quick take really quick about like if it's F2P friendly. So I don't think people really understand when like really think about this question in your head. When was the last time you were excited for a 4-star character? Not a lot of people are excited for 4-star characters, but in Wuthering Waves is completely different. A lot of the 4-star characters in there, pretty OP. And also, Rover, if Rover's not the first character you invest in and you're F2P, you're doing it wrong. Because like literally, Rover is the best, possibly the easiest character to use in the game. And that character can clear all the content for you alone, 100%. So yep. I'm going to just make that short and sweet. I don't think I want to say anything else on that. And the upcoming 4-star characters that will come in the future, probably going to be super dope. They're probably going to be even more, they're going to be useful. They're going to work well with other teams. That's all I got to say.
I was just going to make a note and then I'll let Ryuku answer. By the way, am I saying it right? I'm saying it right?
Yeah, Ryuku.
Okay, Ryuku. I was just gonna say, I think people are excited for 4 stars though, Loba. I think the excitement just oftentimes isn't justified. Cause like they'll get really hype and then they'll play them and then it'll be like, oh man, this character isn't even actually that good. It's like they look cool, but they don't really like you have to like over invest in them for them to feel viable, basically.
They have to work with a specific 5-star character, which I absolutely despise. It's really annoying seeing that.
Or that, exactly.
I cannot stand that.
The excitement is oftentimes there. I think it's the justification is lacking. Whereas with Wuthering Waves, like you can be excited and 9 times out of 10, unless their name is Alto, they're gonna be like very much. Alto's gonna be fine, y'all. People are gonna play Alto. I guarantee you, there's gonna be some main DPS Altos.
We're gonna see some solo hard content with Alto. Someone's gonna shut us up. I already know it. I'm ready to watch it.
I was gonna say they're gonna combine them with more Teffy.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
And Barina, and get hard carried by the, putting Bennett and Kazuo on a team and then saying that you're Sayu carry or something. But anyway, so Ryuku, how you feel about it?
Yeah, I do think Wuthering Waves is looking out to be quite free-to-play friendly. Again, for all the reasons that Audu said earlier as well. All the free characters you get like on the in introduction, like you get Yang Yang, Chixia, Baiji, and then after that you get with the login, you get Sanhua, and you eventually get Yuan Wu as well. Yuan Wu, from what I've seen from his kit, maybe you can like enlighten me. From what I've seen of Yuan Wu's kit, a lot of it is hidden behind his copies, from what I can see. Just like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
S0 Yuan Wu isn't that good, and like a lot of his kit is hidden behind copies. But just putting him aside, Sanhua as well is a really, really strong character. And something I have seen is that a lot of people online, both in global and in Japan as well, are saying that they don't really see the benefit of pulling for the 5 stars because the 4 stars are so good. And also, it's
Hmm.
not like with the designs as well. The designs for all of them, probably to the detriment of the game, is that some of the 4 stars, some of the 4 star designs are really like on par with some of the 5 stars designs. Like
That is true.
Sanhua's design is impeccable. Usually when you look at another game's 4 stars, you could say, okay, that's a 4 star. You could tell from it, that's a
Yeah.
4 star. Whereas with some of the characters in Wuthering Waves, it kind of blurs that line a bit, and it's also with the ease of the characters. Like we've already talked about, the strength of Dungeon as well, and the ease of use of Rover as well. It makes it really, really difficult to justify like wailing for a 5 star because you don't need to. You can, but you don't need to, and that could be a detriment to the success of the game. Like for Kuro, like because at the end of the game, at the end of the day, it is a game made to make money. If they don't make money, then it
Yep.
doesn't do its jobs correctly. But that's Kuro's problem, not ours. And for us as free to play players, for us free to play players, I think we're eating quite well. We don't really have that much of an issue. Like again, it does in this game, you're not really pulling the 5 stars for the strength. You're not pulling for the skills. You're just pulling because you like the characters or you like their playstyle. The strength, everyone's got the strength. You're pulling for the playstyle, and I think that's something that Kuro is really, really good at. Like playing Punching Grey Raven. A lot of the characters have really, really distinct playstyles and combat mechanics, and it's really, really intricate. And I think that's what they're going to bring to Wuthering Waves as well. It's not going to be for the strength, although that is something that will be eventually introduced, but it is mainly the character design and the playstyle. I think that's what they want to like run on. I think, like this is pure speculation. I think what Kuro is going to do is they're going to bring the same business model from Punishing Grey Raven. They're going to give everyone. They're going to be friendly with the pulls and make sure that everyone gets at least one copy of the characters, and then they're going to like rely on people enjoying those characters, and they're going to want to pull for copies. Or I suspect that if it's anything like Punishing Grey Raven, I suspect they're probably going to bring skins in the future as well. I think
Yeah.
that's how they're going to make their money. So, okay, assuming that's how things are going to turn out, I do think it's going to be free to play, friendly, just getting the characters you want. I don't think anyone really has to worry. If you just want to play the game, you've got no worries. If you want to like
Yeah.
get the skins, then you've got to swipe.
Yeah.
So for me, on this question, and you're in my head, Ryuki. Like you have no idea how much you're in my head. Like
I'm so sorry. We did it earlier today with the video thing.
no, but it's totally fine. That's cool to me because that means like okay, like-minded. Um, yeah, I was gonna touch on the skins. Yeah, like I think at the end of the day, and just to touch on the Yuan Wu thing, Yuan Wu, I keep saying people are gonna sleep on characters because there's just all they're gonna. I think everybody who it's there's so many slept on characters because people are gonna be like, oh yeah, 5 stars, 5 stars. This meta, that whatever dungeon. And it's like Yuan Wu, even at sequence 0, he's okay. He does
Mm,
get much better, like much better. But what I will say is it does feel, at least in CBT2, his sequences felt well spread out. Like he
mm,
got
Yep.
significant stuff with each sequence. It didn't feel like you had to wait till the later ones. Like he got
mhm,
attack speed, which I'm telling you, Yuan Wu is about to be so new player friendly for people who like to mash because bro's
Yeah.
attack
Yep.
speed is so I did this on stream one time. His attack speed is so fast that you can literally mash and get parries off.
Yep.
Now, is it like 100% guaranteed? No, but I would say you probably have like 85 to 90% success rate. Like
mm,
especially with his sequence 1 in particular because
Yep.
that's the
Sequence
one,
one.
yeah,
Yep.
where when you activate his forte, he gets like a 20% attack speed bonus.
mhm,
And then I remember in the prior um Rovercast, Vulcan was teasing at this idea, like, what if they gave us an attack speed buff? set, right? Now, if I recall correctly, Baisha used to have a speed bonus in her sequences. I think they took it out. I could be wrong. We'll find out, but I think they took it out in CVT2. And
Yeah.
that in particular was going to be really good for Gian because Gian actually benefits from speed. Because the way his forte works is like the more attacks he does, the quicker he fills up his forte. And so obviously the faster you are. But you add like somebody with the fact that they even put it in there in CVT1 tells me that eventually that will probably be a stat. And so likely. So like I said, Yuan Wu, he's so fun. Like he's such a fun character. Like I said, the fast attack speed, he looks flashy. Um, there's
He
obviously
does.
so much we could say, huh?
He does tick damage too. A lot of people don't talk about the
That's
fact he does DOT damage. So and it's off field too. So you pillar
yep,
drop and you swap out. So his utility isn't just about him being on field necessarily. He has
yeah.
value off field as well.
He gives you
So
shield, and then
Shield, yeah.
yep, shield
the
too.
other
Yep.
thing that a lot of people don't realize about him, bro, Loba, I think you came to my stream one time when I discovered this. I was playing Yuan Wu toward the end of the CBT2. Bro shreds shields.
He
Yeah.
does.
Like, or it's not so much shield, but it's like the stagger bar.
Yeah.
Because he attacks
Ah.
so fast, he shreds that bar. Like I showed it with the ape boss, and basically how fast you're able to actually just shred that, like bring him on field real quick, shred that the enemy stagger bar, and then you can
Mhm.
switch in to whoever else you want. Or obviously, you can keep him on field if you want to use him as a main DPS. But I didn't mean for this to be like a Yuan Wu advertisement, but
Justice for Yuan Wu.
yeah, right. But basically, with all that being said, all the things that have been brought up are the perfect reasons why I do believe that this game is going to be very new player friendly as well as very free to play friendly. We're gonna get something that we haven't seen in a long time, in my opinion. And I'm not gonna make any specific names, but we are getting a game that feels like a game first and a business second. And I know that sounds crazy, like, oh, yeah, of course it's getting no, like when you play some of these games, you start to realize if you play these games long enough, you start to realize the reasons behind the decisions that are made. And it feels very much like a business first, which I don't have. Like, I get it. I'm not saying that that's a problem, but as a consumer, I get to choose what I decide to invest in and invest my time in. And this game feels like a game first. I've always said before, like I was never like a mobile player or gacha player or anything like that. Really, I was just somebody who enjoyed playing games. And this game, that's what I look for with anything. And this game feels like a game first. It feels like they're saying, do you want to just have fun? Do you want to just have fun? Play, have fun playing characters. Don't feel like you have to do this just to enjoy the game. And they offer that in spades. Like you said, you brought the skins. I think that's gonna be a really cool thing. Like I said, guaranteed weapon banner. Like you no longer do you have to like just hope and pray that these 80 pools that you just threw out will come back to you. And then on top of the fact, with the whole like, okay, well, I lost it, but I have pity toward my next one, but it only lasts for this banner. So the next banner, it's gone. It's like, yeah. So I think that was a good point that was brought up. Just the idea that like a lot of free to plays will probably consider actually spending money because they are playing a game that feels like it values the player
Yeah.
more so than just I want to before we wrap things up, I just want to end on this point real quick. We're about to enter into a very new time period. This version of life, I guess you could say, that we're living in, where like you have, and I would just be specific, Genshin is a monolith right now, and they are also uncontested in reality, like truthfully. But we're gonna be at a point where we're entering into a time where it's not gonna be the same poverty-stricken mindset that we've always been living in, where it's just like, oh, maybe they'll do this, maybe they don't. No, there's competition. There's about to be some serious competition. You want to know when we said, will the game be free to play friendly, right? Well, last I checked, 30 million pre-registration said we're getting 20 free pulls. They won't have a choice. Like even for Kuro, right? And like I said, this is not to besmirch Kuro in any way based on something that hasn't even happened yet. But I'm just saying, even if Kuro wanted to be the greedy company, they can't be because there's competition. Like, even if they wanted to be, I'm not saying that they are, but even if they wanted to be, they're not going to be able to do that. And so, even like I said, with all the new games coming out, whether it be Azure Premilia, whether it be, Project Mugen, if that game actually exists, or if we all just had a collective hallucination, um, like with all these games on the horizon, Arknight's Enfield, like
Yeah, and Phil was just
they're
gonna say that. Yeah.
yeah, like we're not go. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same reality where one company is holding this monopoly and we just have to take what we get. Like, they are going to have to compete, and the consumers are going to win as a result of that. So, if anybody has any final words, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah.
Just shout out your channels. Yeah, like I said, any final words and just shout out your channels.
I would say Alto is pretty much the Chi-Chi of Wuthering Waves. Yeah, that's my piece.
Oh man.
Shout out your channel, Aru. Shout out your channel.
It's got a reason. Almost said well, the plan is to get to 10K this year.
Okay.
Awesome.
You can do it.
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah. Well, obviously, Zoxiscon TV. Again, guys, appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you got to this part of the podcast, make sure you guys let us know how you felt, man. Please share. Right, it's going to be really important that we have this circulating because there's a lot of like great up and coming creators in the space. And we just want to keep the conversation going. So appreciate you guys for just taking the time to watch.
Okay, and as I said before, my name is Ryuku, and my YouTube channel is Ryuku Sensei, Ryuku Sensei. Messed up.
Yeah, good.
Saved
You
it.
can retake if you would like.
Yeah,
No, leave it in. Leave it. I've got a thing where I mess up on my lines. It's my thing. But yeah, like I said, my content is mainly about the Japanese perspective towards gacha games and what's going on in the gacha space, as well as my own perspective as well. Like, I'm not just a mouthpiece. I've got my own opinions. I've got my own thoughts, and I want to put those into my videos and like integrate them in. And I'm here to like just have the conversation as well. It's like I said, I'm a new content creator, but everyone's been so friendly, and I really really do enjoy my time on YouTube and on the platform, meeting everyone, as well as all my subscribers as well. It's so great.
Awesome.
All right, my name is Lova Pixel. I am excited about Wuthering Waves. I can't wait for everyone to actually experience this game for the first time. That's like the number one thing, the reason why we're all here. And the community is gonna in for something very special and something very fresh and new. But besides all that, I will be basically live streaming it and, creating content on the game, giving my takes as usual, probably reacting to a lot of people's videos or discussion stuff. I really just want to involve a lot of the community. I really like to engage with the community as well, to get their feedback as well and see like, what do they think about the game? What can be improved as well, because maybe in the future, we're going to be able to make those improvements that people ask for, because Kuro is known for that. So make sure to always keep that in mind when you're playing the game. Maybe there's something that you think that could be improved. Always take it into consideration and think about, giving that feedback to either creators or even the developers. So with that, that's all I got to say about that,
Awesome. And as you all know, my name is Life. Channel's Life Lessons. I will be, as I said, covering story, lore, all that fun stuff, gameplay discussions as well. And I guess I would just say, just to put this out there, I didn't say this earlier, but my channel did get deleted, unfortunately. It was a technical error on YouTube's part. It was not a strike, but we're building back up. And so if you got to this far in the video, If you are somebody who's familiar with my content, maybe you sub to my other channel and maybe you're just like, oh, where'd life go? He just disappeared off the face of the earth. I'd say first, probably try to follow me on other platforms. That way I can let you know in the future. But yeah, we do have a new channel. It will be in the description along with everybody else's channel. So if you were sub to me in the past, feel free to come back. Come back. And so yeah, like I said, I think all of us at some time or another will definitely be streaming the game as well. So feel free to pop into to the streams. Support your peeps. And like I said, we at the Rovercast will be highlighting many creators as the game progresses. We have plans to highlight creators in various facets of the gotcha gaming scene. So, with all that being said, thank you guys once again, and we will see you at launch. Until next time, catch you guys later. Game's coming out soon. Peace.